Good morning. I just like to share something briefly with you about how to find yourself in the right direction or in the right fulfillment of your purpose in this life. In this life, sometimes we experience a whole lot of things that cause us to stray and to go through difficulties and challenges. Difficulties and challenges come in two ways. They come naturally. Every human being must experience difficulties, either with your family, finances, your business, your ministry, your faith, your plans for your life. Because we are in this world, you're bound to face some dryness, wilderness experience, and trouble in the family, everywhere. That's one way. But the other way that difficulties and challenges come is when we are negligent of things that we ought to do, when we are ignorant of things that we ought to do in the right way to be able to overcome some of the problems that we ought to overcome. So when we are ignorant and when we are reckless, we bring problems upon ourselves. Whichever way, the solution is one. The solution is having the right approach, having the right people around you, and the right mentality around you, in you, to be able to navigate your way to the desirable future. It's just a brief word from Psalms 107. I will read from verse 5 to verse 7. Psalms 107, verse 5 to 7 says this: Hungry and thirsty, their soul fainted. In fact, let me start from verse 4. Psalm 107, verse 4 to 7. They wandered in the wilderness in a solitary way. They found no city to dwell in. Hungry and thirsty, their soul fainted in them. Then they cried unto the Lord in their trouble, and he delivered them out of their distresses. Now, verse 7. And I want to pay attention to verse 7. And he led them forth by the right way, that they might go to a city of habitation. Now, this is the experience of the Israelites when they left Egypt, heading towards the promised land. They did not listen to God's divine order and instruction, and a lot of things happen. So in the wilderness, they experience dryness, they experience hunger. You remember when they were hungry, one time God brought manna from heaven. When they were thirsty, God commanded Moses to bring water from the rock. Yet their journey with God, because they were not in the right frame of thinking, the right frame of understanding, they struggled a lot. But when they cried out to the Lord heard them and delivered them. Now, number one thing I want you to pay attention, my good friends. When you're going through difficulties in your faith, in your life, in your business, whatever situation you find yourself in, don't accept it to be permanent. The first thing I want you to suggest to you, we all do, including myself, is that cry out. If it is something concerning your faith, cry out to the Lord. Don't die inside. Because when you cry in, you die out. But when you cry out, you are delivered from inside experiences. So know that it is, whether it is your fault or not your fault, don't keep quiet. Pray to God, talk to God, talk to the right people who have the right spirit of God. So cry out. They cried out to the Lord. So because God was the one who was leading them, they had to cry to God because they could not save themselves. Who you cry to in your hour of distress, the people you talk to, when you're down, when you're struggling, when you're going through tough challenges, matter a lot. Sometimes wrong people that we consult, wrong advice that we receive, causes a lot of mess in our home, in our businesses, even in our relationships with people at workplaces, in our husbands and wives and children. So be very careful not to die inside. You're being suppressed, you're being controlled and abused. Don't keep it inside. Know who to talk to. Know who to cry out to, number one. So when they cried out, the Bible says the Lord answered them and delivered them from their trouble. Now, when you speak to the right people, they will help you out of that situation. When you cry out to God for your children, for your wife, for your husband, and whatever experience you're going through, expect deliverance. God will send help. Those who keep things inside, they die inside and outside. Help is there. If you know the right place to go, go for it. So, trouble, they cried out to the Lord in their trouble, and he delivered them. So number one, don't die inside. Number two, know the right people and the right God to cry out to. Because if you go to the wrong people, it is going to be messed up. Your life is going to be messed up. Now, once they delivered, how did God deliver them? God delivered them from their trouble. God gave them water. God gave them food. You see, when God gives you the things you ask for, or when you've gone for what you need, take for example, you are in financial difficulties and you're praying that someone will help you out, and someone generously and graciously gives you money, that means you're delivered temporarily from that financial difficulties you're in. It doesn't end there. What you ought to do is verse 7. And he led them forth by the right way. Once you've been given freedom from that financial mess, you've got to live the right way so that you will not find yourself again in financial problems. If you have been delivered from alcoholism, that is fantastic. But you've got to watch the bottle. But the way you're going to watch the bottle is following some right path, that right ways. If you've gone to see a psychiatrist, and then they've given you some prescription, some advice of things you ought to do to get out of your nervous breakdown or your mental breakdown, mental health, and all stuff that we go through in life. Once you are out of that problem, you keep your eye on yourself so that you don't fall into it again. That's what Jesus said. If a devil goes out of a man, the devil goes out into the wilderness to walk around and see if they can find a body to inherit. Then they will return to the same person that was delivered. And if they find out the person is still not keeping God inside and is open, then they bring up more devils to possess that person. So the most important thing is not about your deliverance, but it's about what you do after your deliverance. So when you've gone through some marital problems, marital breakdown, family issues, employment issues, and God and people help you out, make sure you are led by the right way. The issue here, the key word is led. Who is leading you? Who is advising you? There are many problems that people encounter because of the advice they get from the social media, because of the wrong advice they get from wrong people. Wrong advice is a recipe for disaster. There are many people who could have reached far, but because of the wrong people in their lives and the wrong approach, they are still stuck in the mire and the gutter of problems. We all go through problems, but we must get out as we are led by the right thinking, the right people. So he led them forth by the right way, that they might go to a city of habitation. Remember, they were wandering in the wilderness. They had no job. They had no supermarkets. When all things are provided for you, that is when you need to be very careful. When things have been provided, remember that once upon a time you had nothing. If you have a nice car now, remember once upon a time you didn't have it. If you have a nice, good education, remember that once upon a time you were not in education. And what you have achieved now should not let you think that you've reached the top of the world. Be led in the right way. Do the right business. When your business breaks down and you start again, make sure that you put in business principles that will help you grow up. When your children have been delivered from alcoholism or drugs or sexual immorality, make sure that you do the things that will not contribute to their mess again. Are you being led? Have you been led in the right way? I suggest to you, my friends, as I suggest to myself, let us not die inside. Let us cry to God and to the right people. And once we are delivered from the situation, let us make sure that we are led in the right way to find habitation. What is it that you're looking for? Begin to think, begin to make sure that you will find the right God, Jesus Christ, and the right people, the right mentality to be led to inhabit what you desire in life. I hope this message will help you, someone. God bless you.